All the ducks are swimming in the water.
Hello, welcome back to my filthy little corner of the internet. Yeah, not filthy in that sense. No, none of that on here, you know. But I won't, no. One day I will show you the room. It is a pigsty and I'm embarrassed. But here I am back at my desk and a view from the duck pond has returned. I don't know why I did a duck impersonations, because I'm mental probably. Do you know what, guys? Awful lot of water's gone under the bridge since the last time I put a video on this channel. Yeah, life's thrown its full weight at me and it's not been great. As most of you know, before I stopped sort of doing anything on the channel, I had cancer. I had prostate cancer. I had surgery in 2018 to take my prostate out, but my cancer came back and I went through extensive radiotherapy and chemotherapy treatment along with hormone drugs to keep me going. The good news is I'm still clear. In fact, it's looking really good. From a prognosis of, oh mate, you've only got 5 years left, I'm now sitting here thinking, great, I haven't got 5 years left. I'm afraid you get to put up with me an awful lot longer, because at the moment my prognosis is good. There is no sign of the cancer, so thumbs up. Which is possibly one of the reasons why I'm back here, because having something like cancer makes you realise that life is too short, you know, and sometimes it's better to carpe diem, seize the day, and do the things you love and love the things you do. And I love painting figures. I love model making. I'm falling back. Hang on, Nige. Let me think about it, because unfortunately part and parcel of all the treatment I've had is my brain doesn't work as well as it used to. I've got back into the joy of gaming as well at New Buckingham, and it's good. You know, you need these things, you need these hobbies to sort of keep you going, and for me it helps with the stress that I have in my life for other things as well. I have a special needs daughter that requires 24/7 care. I have two very elderly parents who are now being a real burden, and it's difficult. You know, it's really difficult. My mum's no, I won't even bother, you know, because it's not about me and my life. Although you will find this channel is going to have a lot more of that sort of thing on there. But I'm going to try and keep the model making, painting, gaming bit separate from the oh woe is me, this is my life, because I think it's important to share both things, which is what I'm going to do. But anyway, enough of that waffle. Let's talk about what I'm doing. Oh, do you know what? I've dillied and dallied, lost my way and don't know where to go, as the old song goes, boys and girls. I would sing it, but you really don't want to hear me singing. Yeah, honestly, I've had loads of shit pass across my desk. Recently, I've been concentrating on putting together my 20mm force for battle group rules, early war Soviets for Barbarossa, and I've had a real dilemma with it. It's this stupid thing. There's this ridiculous war going on in the Ukraine, in case you guys hadn't noticed, and I felt really guilty for doing Russians. They're not Russians, they're Soviets. That's the difference, Nige. But I'm like, should I be doing these really? I don't know. And I had this real sense of guilt when I was painting them and that. I've gotten to a point where I can have a game with them, and I'm going to gradually add bits and pieces to it. But now I've gotten to a point where, yeah, I've got enough of a force to have a game with, and lots of guys at the club have got bits and pieces that I can scrounge and borrow. I find in 20mm hard work. I am getting old and my eyes aren't as good as they used to be, and so I switched back up to 28mm, and I'm back. Yes, I've gone back to the sunshine and sangria and orange and olive groves of Spain, and I'm back fighting the Spanish Civil War. It's a period that I'm really fascinated by. I'm going to do a video telling you about why I got fascinated in it, so there's something you can not bother watching. I'm not going to do it in this one because I bore you to tears, but I've been reading. I can read, I don't just look at pictures, and I've been reading this small tome, International Brigades by Giles Tremblay, and it's really very good. He's a good author. I think the book was called The Ghosts of Spain that he wrote. He's got a place where he lives in Spain, and he found out there was a mass grave nearby that dated from the war. And he said he went back and looked over the history of the war, and the book is a really good read. I've got it here somewhere. Hang on, I'm going to go find it. As usual, in my head, I've got completely messed up again. Gilles Tremblay has done a book called Ghosts of Spain. This one here, and it's sort of a history thing from like the Reconquista through to modern day Spain, how it sort of builds and their empire falls apart and all the usual stuff. And he does touch on the Spanish Civil War in here as well. But the one I was thinking of is this one by a guy called Jason Webster, which is good. Yeah. And this is about the war. This is the one where he's got a farmhouse that he's bought and he's doing it up, and they hear about a mass grave nearby, and that leads him into sort of all sorts of twists and turns, researching the Civil War. Both books, if you're interested in the Civil War, they're both a good read, so it's worth getting hold of them and having a look at them. And the reason why I've gone back to sunny Spain is because I was building forces for this Chain of Command, for the Chain of Command Españols that they have. This is a supplement that you can get free on their website to actually put forces together for the conflict. And in the process of building forces for that, I've got a lot of old, as you know, I had Anglian miniatures many years ago that I sold to Empress, so I've got a big collection of Empress and Anglian miniatures. So I was looking around for other companies that might do figures, and I'm on Facebook, as most people are my age, you know, and I found these two companies. One's called Baraka Miniatures and the other one's called Ebro Miniatures. And the great thing about these two companies is they're both Spanish companies, and they're producing figures for a period of history that they've shied away from for a long time. The echoes of the Spanish Civil War still go down to this day, and it still causes divisions now amongst Spaniards, so it's a really difficult period of their history for them to deal with. So it's really good to see Spanish companies finally biting the bullet, making figures to support their own war, this war in particular. Baraka, lovely figures. They are white metal miniatures. They concentrate on the Rift War at the moment, but the things, they've got a Spanish Foreign Legion range for the Rift War, which you can use for the Spanish Civil War, and they're really lovely models. I will do a quick and dirty review of them on another video so you can see, but they're lovely little figures. And yeah, if you want to do the Rift War, it's certainly a range to look for there, but the Foreign Legion are definitely usable for the Spanish Civil War, especially for the early part of the war when they came across them on the drive to Madrid. The second company I found was a company called Ebro Miniatures. Now, these guys are a bit different. Their figures are 3D sculpted. Baraka are 3D sculpted, sorry, I should get that wrong. Baraka Miniatures are 3D sculpted, not sort of figure sculpted like mine were by Paul Higgs. They're done by CAD design using a computer program, and then they're then cast up in resin and then put into molds and made into metal. Ebro are 3D design, but they're printed miniatures, so you buy them as printed miniatures. And they're really nice. They're really very nice. In fact, I've fallen mad in love with them. This is terrible, isn't it? Wait till you hear this. I love them so much, I'm seriously thinking about replacing my old Empress and Anglian stuff with a load of Ebro stuff. I'm now exclusively painting them because I love the models so much. I'll tell you what, look, instead of me waffling about how wonderful, let's have a look at the little buggers. Here's a quick and dirty review of Ebro Miniatures. I will do a full review when I get my next order in, because in my excitement I've glued all these together, so I can't show you what they were like before. And from the word glue, you may understand that yes, there is an element of gluing involved with these boys. So here we go, Ebro Miniatures, quick and dirty review. To the desk we go. I know, the overhead cam is back. Still as wonky shy as before though. Okay, desk, let's look at Ebro. So here we are. Here are some of the Ebro guys on my desk. I'm really sorry about the lighting. I do have some lights on the way. I'm just going to try and pick them up and show them to you if I can. Okay, they come in a grey resin. They're 3D printed, like I said. The one thing I didn't realise about them is the fact that they're kits. Okay, look at this. I knew they came with separate heads because you order the heads separately from the bodies when you actually put your orders in, but I didn't know they had separate arms as well, which leads to some interesting things because you have lots of scope for doing different poses with them. I think it's in focus. When you get different arms, okay? You can sort of charging forwards, bunging a grenade. Here's one I'm actually starting on, as you can see, and he's sort of charging forward with his rifle at the ready. For those of you who are not keen on kits and struggle a bit, you may find this difficult. I think I'm probably going to touch on this again later on. I will do a full review of them when I get my next order in. I got a bit overexcited and glued these guys together, so I couldn't actually show you, but I could show you, like they did with the steel just now, that they do have separate arms and separate heads. Separate heads is a great idea because you can then do what you want with them with regards to putting heads on. It does make the figures very different. A lot of the time in the Spanish Civil War, the only thing that was going to tell the two sides apart was the colour and the bits on their uniforms and the hats that they wear. So you can get away with a lot. And when you do put your order in, have a good look at the bodies, because the bodies are all different. I made this mistake. I ordered the same bodies and then realised afterwards I've ordered them all with these like little short jackety things on that I don't actually like very much, but they're okay, you know. But there are lots of different body types as well. The poses are very similar or the same, but there are lots of different body types. There's some of them have got their shirts tucked in, some are wearing small jackets. So look at the body poses first. The trousers are different too. I know it's complicated, but what I will do when I do a full review of them, I will touch on the different areas that you can look at so you get a better idea of what's going on. The best thing I suggest for now is if you want to get some, pop a small order in, a couple of packs, a couple of headsets, and see how you get on with them. And then if you like them, you can go back and do a bigger order. But they are really lovely little figures. It's just a quick review of them. The one thing I have found though, and I'm going to put up a still image now so you can see this. This is a comparison of them compared to the existing Empress range and the Baraka Miniatures range, Foreign Legion, that I was talking about earlier on in the introduction. Right, going from left to right, you've got the Ebro Miniatures figure. In the middle is the Baraka Miniatures Rift War range Spanish Foreign Legion figure, and at the end is an Empress Miniatures figure. He's also Spanish Foreign Legion, but it's just so I can get a comparison of the heights. The one thing you're going to notice from this is that the Ebro figure is a bit bigger. Okay, when I say a bit bigger, he's a fair bit bigger. He's closer to 34mm high. And the Empress ones are more like 28mm high, so you've got a 6mm difference between the two. They are not going to mix on the same units on the battlefield. If you're starting from scratch and you want a range that's going to give you a bit of flexibility, then grab the Ebro stuff if you're happy with model making, because it does involve an element of model making, like I warned in the previous bit we were talking about. You can mix and match. You can, I mean, everybody's different, you know, we're all different shapes and sizes. You could put up a picture, there's a classic picture of a World War II guy where there's a German soldier who's about 20 foot tall with some British lads who look like children in comparison. Everybody is different, but I know that people don't like to mix sizes in their units. But there's nothing to stop you having a unit of Ebro Miniatures, a unit of Baraka Miniatures, and a unit of Empress Miniatures. Okay, just don't mix them up in the same units because they will look a bit incongruous. Okay. But there we go, you can see the size difference, and looking at the size difference, I'm now going to go on to something else here, and that is scale. If you don't like me ranting about scale, I suggest you leave now, but I'm going to talk about scale. Okay, here we go. Of course, it wouldn't be me if I didn't talk about scale. Oh my God, I've had so many arguments about scale. I make models, okay, I work from plans. Plans have to be to a certain scale. Scale is measured by saying it's 1/55th scale or 1/48th scale or 1/35th scale. That's how scale works. 28mm is not a scale. 28mm is a measurement of height. So when they say a figure, here's my little Ebro man, is 28mm, it's how tall he is, okay? He's 28mm tall. In fact, he's not 28mm tall. This little man is a little bit taller than that. Let's get a ruler so you can see. How about that? Can you see that? Push him into the middle, Nige. He's not 28mm, he's closer to 34mm tall, okay? From his feet to the top of his head. Not to his eyes, to the top of his head, which is another stupid thing that people say. It's 28mm to his eyes. Whenever I go and I'm measured at the hospital, they always measure me and they put a thing on the top of my head which says how tall I am. So there's me, there's a thing on the top of my head that says I'm 5'11". They don't measure up to my eyes and say, oh Nige, you're 5'5" or you're 5'6", and then you've got that extra bit on top that goes. I'd have a bit of a cone head if I was that tall, wouldn't I? But as you can see, this is an Empress figure and he is closer to 28mm. Okay? So he goes beautifully with this little armoured car here from Rubicon. This Rubicon model's armoured car is 1/55th scale, so he fits in quite well with it. If you take my little man from Ebro, he's not going to fit in with it. He's too tall. Okay, him being 34mm means he's closer to 1/48th scale. This here is a UN Models kit of a BA6 armoured car. This is the same vehicle, okay, so no confusion. This is 1/48th scale. He fits in a lot nicer with that. Just to prove it, here's a comparison picture of someone standing next to a real BA6 armoured car. Yes, I've put my models on base as well because he's on the little base, so the armoured car needs to be on a little base so you can see that they fit. I'm going ranty, I'm going ranty, I'm going to turn the rant down because I do rant about scale because being a modeller, scale is quite important to me, as you can imagine. So, because he is that bit taller than the little Empress guy, he's going to fit in a lot better with the bigger scale vehicle than the smaller scale vehicle. It's obvious, okay? So 1/48 fits in better with 34mm height figures, whereas a 28mm high guys fit in a lot better with the 1/55th or 1/56 scale models, which is what I've always maintained in the past. Okay, this is the reason why, boys and girls, I'm jumping my scale up to 1/48th or 1/50th is actually closer, but I'm going to sort of be between the two. Wait until you see my T26 rant because that is highly entertaining. So there we go. I'll finish on scale. Let's go back and we'll sort of wind this thing up. Okay, thank you very much. Here we go. Back to me again. So there you go. A quick and dirty review with a bit of scale thrown in as well. I know, I am so sorry. I am a scale Nazi. It comes from my model making background. I've built masters and things as well, so I'm very conscious about scale because I have to have scale plans to be able to build the models that I build. So to me, scale is quite important. To you, it might not be so, but I just want to sort of push you gently in the right direction so you can sort of see how things work. And we have got the excitement of the T26 saga coming up very soon. Yeah. Well, I am going to rant about scale again, and yeah, you can guess where it's going to go, can't you? Yeah, I know. Well, there we go. So anyway, yeah, Ebro Miniatures, they really are lovely, lovely figures. I mean, I love painting. I'm a very slow painter, as most of you know, but I love to have good figures to work on because it makes my painting job a lot easier, and these are lovely figures to work on, especially the faces. The faces I absolutely love. One thing that really sort of brings a miniature to life is having a decent face on. If you can paint the faces well, then you'll see. Here we go. I'm going to diss another company. I was painting some Perry Miniatures recently, Spanish American War of Independence figures, and the faces were diabolical, absolutely dreadful faces. Not only that, however, I mean, the people that complained about the casting before, sorry Perry Miniatures, I'm going to do it to you again, but whoever the caster is useless. You know, he had a mould line down the middle of a face, and the mould had shifted so the face was wonky, and you're like, I can't paint this. Away it goes. That project shelved. Bye. So yes, this is the difference here with these Ebro Miniatures. The faces are beautiful. They're really easy to paint. And the thing that I forgot to mention in that little dirty review is the headsets you can get match perfectly with Empress. So you can actually put those heads on Empress figure bodies, so you've got a bit more range to play with because there are some different heads in there that Empress don't actually do. So yeah, if you're into swapping heads about, you can do that. It does take a little bit more work. I may at some stage throw a video in about that as well, but as I mentioned previously, I am going to exclusively be doing Ebro stuff now because I love the miniatures so much, and I think the range has got legs to actually turn into a really, really decent range for all the Spanish Civil War. The only bugbears you may have is the fact that, yeah, okay, they're big when they don't fit in with other ranges. Well, they do, you just don't mix them in the same unit, but try and avoid that if you can. And the other thing is the fragility. Because they are printed resin, they are fragile, and you will get breakages. I had some breakages, so yeah, you got to be really, really careful with it. I'm going to touch on them again later in another review. My order comes through, like I said. I will do a full review looking at them in the bits and pieces and how, you know, methods that I found for putting them together which make your life a lot easier. Okay, and there's things you can do to reduce the brittleness of the resin when you're working with it, so I am going to sort of cover those in a later video when I get my order through. Ebro is a guy called Geordie who runs it, and he does have a normal job, real world job, and a family. So sometimes communication is a bit slow and orders can take a little while to come through, because obviously we've been being printed miniatures, they have to be printed, so that takes a little time as well. But yeah, he's been really, really good with me. When I've dealt with him, I got sort of a few samples through to have a look at. He sent me a freebie. He sent me a mortar pack as a freebie. Lovely mortar as well. And yeah, really, really nice guy. So the figures are great. The company's great. Just don't expect sort of next day delivery and get all arsey about it, because it doesn't work like that. You do have to be a little bit patient here. Okay. So there we go. I'm done. This is it. This is a review done and dusted. This is me waffling done and dusted. And I will catch you again next time, where, I don't know, we might have a look at building things. I know, no. You know what it's going to be? You know what it's going to be? It's going to be the T26 saga, because I know you can't wait to see me bitch and moan about T26 tanks. My life is so exciting. It's great to be back. Yeah, if you like this sort of crap, then please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, because it helps me get my sort of stuff out and about onto YouTube. And if you don't like me and think I'm crap, give me a thumbs down and say you're crap, Nigel, in the comments. I don't mind. Doesn't bother me, you know. But it's good to be back, guys. You know, I'm still fighting, I'm still going, and hopefully I can share some fun and games with you. Until next time, adios. Is that Spanish or is that Italian? I'm going to have to practice my language skills, aren't I? Auf Wiedersehen! I know that one. See you soon, guys.